To complete our cause filter from the previous lecture, we must remember to end with a forward statement to move the request to the next handler. So let's go ahead and add that. Well done if you noticed. Okay, let's restart our API and finally check our website. There's 4 sections: flight search, our destinations page, live flight statuses, and the employees portal. We'll initiate the flight search endpoint we created by choosing a city and picking a range of dates, and then clicking search. If everything is working successfully, you'll see a number of flights listed below some toggles. If this doesn't work, there are a couple of things to verify. Firstly, double check that you are on the same port that your API is hosted on, which should be port 8000. The front end has also hard-coded the route and method types to make requests to, so if your code has different endpoint names or request types, the website will not find them. This includes the /API prefix on each backend endpoint. You can go onto the course GitHub page linked in the class resources to see all my R files. If there's only certain endpoints that are failing, you can open up the developer tools to see the name of the route that the front end is calling. Indeed, by far the easiest way to debug issues is to open up the developer tools, such as using F12. Make sure you're on the network tab, clear the existing list, if there is any, and then retry the request. You can use your knowledge of response codes to understand roughly where in the pipeline the error is occurring. And server errors should print to the Plumber logs as well. If you're stuck somewhere, post in the Q&A section with as much detail as possible. The site utilizes our pricing endpoint based on these inputs above. It doesn't use the isNewCustomer parameter, so the default value of the argument is used in the API. The currency can be changed too, which issues a put request. The actual conversion between currencies is performed on the front end, but this is something we could later shift to the back end. Using a fixed email address, we can make bookings, which outputs the booking number generated from our booking endpoint. Moving further down to these 3 widgets, we'll start from right to left. The Employees portal directs us to a logging box asking for our internal API key. Entering these credentials will trigger the Plotly endpoint. If the request is successful, the interactive plot will appear. Whilst if unsuccessful, nothing will happen except that an error message will appear, which occurs for all endpoint errors. The live flight section initiates the flight frequency endpoint, displaying the results in a simple table. Finally, we have the destinations page, which runs the destinations from endpoint. We can then click on the cities, which calls the endpoint that returns city descriptions. If you explore hard enough, you will find a bug though, and that is that New York and Los Angeles return a 400 bad request error. Well, why is this? Let's open up DevTools and click again. We can see that the city name path parameter is actually loss %20 Angeles, which is the URL encoded string for loss space Angeles. This is correct behavior from the front end, as literal spaces in URLs are not allowed. Therefore, this looks to be a case of Plumber not automatically decoding path parameters. Let's implement this ourselves using the URL decode function. This is the endpoint, cities/name, and we'll instantly decode this name path parameter. So I'll say decoded name and set that to URL decode name. Now all our references of name will change to decoded name. Let's restart our API. And now this is working. Next up, if we join our website at a page which isn't the root, such as this, or refresh on here, then we still get a 404 error. This happens on single page application sites, and in order to fix this, we need to direct these routes to our main index.html file so that the front end can itself render the content. I'll simply copy and paste the code into my R front end file. You'll find it in the class resource. I'll paste it above the assets annotation, save. Let's refresh our API once more. Go back to the browser. Great, now it's working. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, but also hope that the Los Angeles error we encountered emphasizes the importance of API testing. Even if you aren't planning on building a user interface for your API, you'll have hopefully now grasped how prevalent APIs are on the web, and how these simple endpoints can be used to different effects, both internally and publicly. We'll undertake our final quiz next, before summarizing the new content in this section and then going on to discuss hosting our API.